China's population is falling once again. The birth rate plunged to another record low despite the introduction of policies aimed at encouraging people to have children. It dropped to 7.92 million in 2025, or 5.63 for every 1,000 members of the population, down 17% from 9.54 million in 2024. Now, this is a record low since the Communist Party took power in 1949, while its death rate rose to 8.04% per 1,000 people, the highest since 1968. Faced with an aging population and sluggish economy, Beijing has been trying hard to encourage more young people to marry and have children. A decade after ending China's long-time one-child policy, the country's authorities are pushing a range of ideas and policies to try to encourage more births. Tactics that range from cash subsidies to taxing condoms to eliminating a tax on matchmakers and daycare centers. China is working hard to reverse its status as a nation with a growing but transitional economy that, as is often said, getting old before it gets rich. But why is it failing? China was long the world's most populous nation till it was surpassed by India. Reportedly, most families cite the costs and pressure of raising a child in a highly competitive society as significant hurdles that now loom larger in the face of an economic downturn that has impacted households struggling to meet the living costs. Reportedly, the average cost of raising a child in China until the age of 18 is almost $500,000, which is more than 6.3 times as high as its GDP per capita, compared with 4.11 times in the US or 4.26 times in Japan, according to a Chinese population research think tank. The cost is even higher in Chinese cities. Now, another potential factor in the numbers is last year in China was the year of the snake, which is considered one of the least favored years for having a child under the Chinese zodiac. However, the government's official Xinhua news agency did say early last year, perhaps optimistically, that the snake is shaking off its negative connotations. For decades, the Chinese government barred people from having more than one baby and often sanctioned those who did, a policy that produced more than 2 generations of only one child. In 2015, the government raised the permitted amount of offspring to 2 and then, facing demographic pressure, further revised the limit to 3 in 2021. The push for more births is about the economy. China now has 323 million people over 60, or 23% of the entire population. That number has continued to rise while the working age population is shrinking, meaning there are fewer workers to support the older population. However, some analysts hold that the decline in population is not all bad. This demographic shift is happening while China is in the process of trying to transition away from labor-intensive industries like farming and manufacturing into a consumer-driven economy built with high-tech manufacturing. Automation and AI, which China leads in, can compensate for fewer workers. A shrinking working-age population relative to dependents can initially raise per capita income as the demographic dividend window shifts. But beyond 2030, the demographic shift is expected to slow economic growth.